from the Diplomatic Center here at St. Anne's, where Honorable Prime Minister Kamala Prasad Visesa is addressing the press corps at the annual luncheon hosted by the Prime Minister in tribute of the media, the Honorable Prime Minister.
Distinguished members of the media, specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, all, I say good afternoon and once again welcome you. It is my pleasure to host this afternoon this very special media event. We thank you for taking the time to be here. I know you have some very hectic schedules. Indeed, sometimes it is as hectic as our own schedules are, because I know that you do cover us from time to time. And I welcome you as well in this very festive and holy season of Christmas. This is a season I'm certain you will agree that we all love very much in our country. And again, I repeat something I just said to someone else. People who visit our country and those who know of us and those who live here, we say that there is a certain type of music for almost every month of the year. And so this is the season for Christmas music, our own local music, as well as that we inherited from our ancestors and those who came to our land. And so, in spite of the many challenges, the tribulations we face on a daily basis, I continue to say that we are extremely fortunate in Trinidad and Tobago to be able to share openly, to share in harmony, to share in friendship, the very religious traditions which are very unique in the plurality of our very beautiful Twin Island Republic. As journalists, as professionals in the media industry, you may perhaps know better than most the conflicts which have been waged and which continue to be waged and to afflict many countries internationally because of religious and cultural intolerance. Thankfully here in our land, we still remain a remarkable example of diversity and of tolerance. It was only recently we enjoyed the season of Eid, and thereafter we enjoyed as a united nation the festival of Diwali, honoring the goddess Lakshmi, reminding us of the power of light, the power of knowledge over darkness and ignorance. Today we are fortunate as a people to be able to celebrate and reflect on the Christian commemoration of the birth of the Lord Jesus Christ. It is a time of sharing. It is a time of renewed hope. It is time when we more easily think of other rather than ourselves. But more so, my respectful view is that this is a time for reconnecting with family and with friends, together seeking truth and beauty. Today we have dined together. We have mingled as colleagues and as friends in an environment of mutual respect and freedom. I hope that you have enjoyed this experience, and so I take this opportunity to commend you on the good work which many of you do with regard to giving a voice and to sharing important information with our citizens on matters of national and international importance. Whether the views or comments of the press or the public are in unison with or diverge from that of government, upholding press freedom remains a right enshrined in our country's constitution, and it is indeed a necessary component of a very strong and effective democracy. Some of you may recall in June of this year, at the conclusion of the International Press Institute's World Congress, which our country was privileged to host, I made it abundantly clear, and today I want to repeat that commitment which I had then made, and that is my administration will continue to support press freedom and the rights of you, our journalists, to tell the story. And if I may say, on a lighter note, it is indeed a true freedom of the press that we witness in Trinidad and Tobago, when in one newspaper today, 15 stories are dedicated to one news item. That is truly press freedom, in my respectful view. That is only in one day, by the way. Of course, as professionals, I know you will undoubtedly honor your craft by adhering to the principle of truth, the principle of fairness, the principle of justice, as you fulfill your mandate of safeguarding the public interest. I believe that I will not be incorrect if I say that my administration is possibly one of the most scrutinized administrations in Trinidad and Tobago's political history to date. Whether through the traditional forms of mass media or the new explosion of social media, my government finds itself commented on, analyzed, blogged, tweeted, and indeed posted about on a daily basis. And so it should be. We also have been given a mandate by the people to serve and to serve with distinction. If we fall below expectations, the freedom of the press and the freedom of expression, which we are very fortunate to enjoy in this country, allow for free, fair, and open comment and discussion. These are the times in which we live. This is the age of information, instant information. We literally have the world at our fingertips, and so too my administration has strategically embraced new media to make us more accessible to our citizens here at home and our nationals abroad. Almost all of our ministries have a presence on the internet, some with services being available online. And I believe some of my ministers are very well-versed bloggers. I do see their postings from time to time. We have also included our children in this technological transformation, technically and technology, a transformation we are witnessing worldwide. We did that to include our children by fulfilling our promise to provide laptops to Form 1 students and their teachers. Indeed, so successful has been that initiative that the Prime Minister of St. Lucia has requested our assistance in providing laptops to the children in the schools in St. Lucia. And so my government has agreed to enter into an MOU with the government of St. Lucia in accessing the computers so we can buy on a bulk basis, which will allow for reduced costs. And the government of St. Lucia will reimburse the government of Trinidad and Tobago with respect to that. I was speaking to you about the new media, new interactive social forum, Facebook, Twitter, BBMs, even emails, have forever changed the communications landscape. And that transition has taken place with unprecedented speed. Real-time, immediate comment and feedback have now become the norm. We are now challenged to exercise greater levels of responsibility and self-regulation to ensure that in exercising our personal right to freedom of expression, we do not impinge on others' fundamental individual human rights. High ethical standards must be maintained at all times in the performance of our professional duties, and my government will not abdicate our responsibility to protect the freedom of every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, including you, our journalists. Our country's now archaic defamation laws are currently under review with the intention to bring them more in line with international best practice. You will certainly be kept informed on the progress of the review, which is in the very capable hands of our Attorney General, Senator Anand Ramlogan. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, in June, the IPI World Congress asked journalists to take a 360-degree perspective of the world of journalism. Today, in the spirit of the Christmas season, which invites us all to look within to our own thoughts and to examine our actions, I encourage you to make that 360-degree gaze more personal. I ask that we rise above the personal and partisan agendas and interests for the sake of the greater good and the continued growth, development, and prosperity of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. In the spirit of Christmas and the goodwill that comes with it, I feel moved to make mention of a personal grief. I feel about the self-inflicted suffering of Wayne Kublasing. Many have asked me to visit him, and I would like to clarify this once again. Wayne Kublasing insists that he does not wish to see me. His demands are for a technical review committee to evaluate the Solomon Hochar Highway Extension project. And he wants this done, and whilst it's being done, he is demanding that the roadwork be halted. So I repeat, Mr. Kublasing has insisted from the very start that he does not wish to meet with the Prime Minister. In fact, Wayne has made it clear on more than one occasion, he continues to do so up to today, that he has no desire to see me. Indeed, his inappropriate and aggressive rejection of the Minister of Health and others whom the government sent in his interest is consistent with this stance. So, respectfully, I ask you to understand, the failure to meet with him is not of my own making, but his refusal to meet with me. The second point of clarification I wish to make is that the falsehood that I reneged on a promise made to him, that is totally untrue. I indeed met with Wayne and a group from the Highway Reroute movement. We met for hours, with several of my ministers being present. That was sometime in March of this year. At that meeting, I did promise that I would suspend the work on the Mondesi portion of the highway project, pending deliberations and the review of a technical committee which was appointed. Thereafter, the work was halted, and several meetings with the Minister of Works and the technical team took place. When finally the technical team submitted their report on the evaluation, that report contained compromises based on the group's views. The results of that review were rejected by the Highway Reroute movement. I want to repeat that there was no breaking of any promise, that indeed the promise was kept, the work was halted, and only resumed months later after several meetings and the report of the technical team. At this stage, we simply could not give in to the demands of Wayne Kublasing and his group to stop a project that would benefit hundreds of thousands of our citizens for generations to come. Further, I am advised that any halting of the project could see the government being sued by the contractors who have contractual obligations to meet. Wayne's view is that the project is a bad one and must be stopped at all costs. His demand is not to meet me. And so, as Prime Minister, what am I expected to do? Simply give in to his demands to protect his life and give up the livelihood and future of hundreds of thousands of others who want the development but choose not to protest in that fashion in favor of the demand of Mr. Kublasing. I am not above meeting with Wayne. I have already done so and will do so again, but that is not what is being asked of me. So I have done what any caring leader would do. I have penned a note to his mother in reply to one she sent me, mother to mother. I have sent emissaries to his side. I have placed an ambulance on standby. Naturally, his health is of concern to me, but what is also of concern to me is the development of the nation I was elected to lead. We have tried to reason with the Highway Reroute movement more than many would have allowed. Wayne chooses to deprive himself of food and water, but as Prime Minister, I cannot choose to deprive generations of our nation's citizens of the development which the extension of the highway would bring. In suspending the roadway to facilitate discussions and reach compromises, the state had to bear the burden of the costs, but I did do so to reach the very compromises offered by the technical team, but they too were of no avail. The only result the group wants is the stoppage of the project, which links major communities in the south of our island. I am fortified in my conviction of my oath of office, which I want to repeat to you this afternoon. I, Kamla Persad Bissessar, swear to bear true faith and allegiance to Trinidad and Tobago, and to uphold the Constitution and the law, and that I will conscientiously, impartially, and to the best of my ability discharge my duties as Prime Minister and do right to all manner of people without fear or favor, affection or ill will. I repeat that oath of office today. I cannot favor any one group, or I cannot allow fear to control my actions. And therefore, in the spirit of the time, the Christmas time, and out of compassion and humanity, I again make an appeal to Wayne's dear parents, Ray and Vilma, to his wife, his brothers and sisters, to take on the personal duty and obligation that they have, parental and family-wise, for the action of their beloved son, and not to transfer this parental duty to the state. Ladies and gentlemen, the heartfelt Christmas message, which I sincerely extend to you all today, is one of caring. It is one of hope. It is one of expectation. It is a message of joy as we look forward to brighter and better days of realized dreams and aspirations. As I close, it would be remiss of me if I did not honor at this time the life and professional contributions of colleagues who have passed away in this year. I refer particularly to the late Angela Cropper, Ralph Warner, Vernon Ramesar Sr., amongst others in the media and in the communications fraternity. May their example continue to inspire our work and illuminate our lives. Over 2,000 years ago, the light of a star pierced the darkness of the first Christmas night to herald the birth of the Christ child and to guide the seekers of truth to their destination. Today I say, may that light continue to fill our hearts with peace, with hope, with joy, and with love. I wish you and your families a very happy and holy Christmas, a very peaceful and prosperous New Year, as I invite you to enjoy the rest of this afternoon and wish you a safe journey home. May God continue to bless each and every one of you, and may God continue to bless the great nation that is Trinidad and Tobago. I thank you very much.
A soulful and stirring 18-minute address by the Honorable Prime Minister Kamla Persad Bissessar, being greeted by a standing ovation here by the packed press corps, the reception room of the Diplomatic Center in St. Anne's. The Prime Minister speaking following a luncheon with media practitioners, journalists and media executives at what is now an annual event held here on the eve of the Christmas holiday. Choosing this on this occasion to speak on a wide range of issues and in a very formal setting unlike previous occasions, and dealing at length with the Wayne Kublal Singh issue. The Honorable Prime Minister repeating her pledge of office, or oath of office, in which, among other things, she pledged to work without fear or favor, ill will, and so on, and indicating that she could not in these circumstances bend to the wishes of Wayne Kublal Singh, the hunger striker, who today is in his 7th or 8th day outside of the office of the Prime Minister in St. Clair. The Prime Minister appealing to the parents and family members of Kublal Singh to, as she said, take on the parental duties with respect to Kublal Singh, and not to transfer those responsibilities and duties and obligations to the state. The Prime Minister making several profound points with respect to Kublal Singh. The first, in airing the issue, she spoke of Kublal Singh's self-inflicted suffering with respect to his fast. She said that Kublal Singh was not asking for a meeting with her, but that the entire project, meaning the Debit to Mondese area of the Solomon Huchoy Highway Extension project, be reviewed. and go to a technical team. And she indicated, to quote her, that Wayne Kubal Singh has no desire to meet me. She indicated that she has sent emissaries, and she spoke of the health minister, Fuad Khan, who was sent early this week, and in fact was the subject. She did not point to this issue, but who was the subject of a verbal abuse from Mr. Kubal Singh. So she said that it was Kubal Singh's refusal to meet her that is the salient point here, not that she was unwilling to meet him. She said it is totally untrue, to use her words, that she reneged on a promise to meet. And she said that sometime earlier there had been a meeting at which, according to her, they met for hours, and several issues were aired relevant to the construction of that part of the highway. She indicated and she stressed that there was no breaking of any promise, and she reaffirmed that point. She says she simply could not give in to the demands, and in stating so, she said that giving in to demands would make her government liable to being sued by the contractors who are undertaking the construction of this massive highway, which runs from the end of the Solomon Huchoy Highway at Golconda in South Trinidad to Point Fortin. So making that point that the government could be liable to face legal charges, certainly litigation, if it were to stop construction of the highway. She indicated again she was not above meeting Wayne Kubal Singh, but he has not asked for such. She said that she has sought to intervene in various ways. One, she indicated mother to mother, indicating that she had she had written to the mother of the Wayne Kubal Singh. She had sent emissaries, and also she had put the ambulance at his disposal. She stressed that the importance, that the development of the nation is very important to her, and so on. And she also said she could not deprive a generation of development, meaning that that to stop the project would indeed have that effect. The Prime Minister, toward the start of her 18-minute address, spoke on matters pertaining to the media. She spoke of the June conference in which the International Press Institute held its annual conference in Port of Spain, and there journalists were asked to take a 360 degrees gaze, and she has asked local media to do such a thing and to put personal and partisan interests ahead for the greater good. She said that media laws are under review by the Honorable Attorney General with an aim to have best practice. And also she paid tribute to the media for its continued work, and she ended the way she started by acknowledging journalists and media practitioners overall who passed away. She cited three names: Angela Cropper, Rolf Warner, and Vernon Ramesser Sr. Vernon Ramesser Sr. passing away at age 81 a few days ago. So this is the Prime Minister. Now she is meeting guests here. Like I said, a packed gathering at the officially diplomatic center at St. Anne's. The Honorable Prime Minister and members of the Cabinet distributing hampers to journalists and media executives who are here. The Prime Minister making a major statement at today's event unlike any other. And that brings us to the end of this live broadcast. We will have a repeat on 91.1 FM of the Honorable Prime Minister's address to the media corps today. But from the Diplomatic Center in St. Anne's, reporting for CNMG Media, I am Ken Ali.